You know, that is true. But she said I was 5'9", now I'm 6 feet tall. So, you know, Randy really didn't check her facts. It's just she's so short, she thinks 5'9" is tall. So, this is really great. I love being here. I want to thank the organizers for inviting me. I want to thank all of you for coming out. I want to thank whoever was responsible for paying the weather bill because it's really nice. And just to be here in this marvelous progressive place, like Ed said, where ideas can be discussed. And to be introduced by Midge, who, you know, exhibited a lot of courage herself when she did what she did. As I found out, you lose a lot of friends and a lot of support when you speak out against one of the parties. You know, it's okay. And I was, you know, everybody's hero on the left, and while I was just challenging George Bush and the Republicans. But as soon as I saw the Democrats for what they were, then I started challenging them, then I lost a lot of support. So I really appreciate your support. You know, part of the problem in this country, so many people worry about what people are going to think of them if they say the truth. Yeah. And you just got to, and if you say the truth, then you just have to separate the wheat from the chaff. And that's what happened. Now we know who we can trust and who are just basic partisan hacks. Yep. And so it's a good thing when anything gets discussed. You know, when I went to Crawford, Texas in August of '05, there was no national debate. I know you were having it here in Wisconsin. I know that many of you were against the war, against invasion and occupation, and you demonstrated it. You were out on the streets. You wrote letters to your representatives. You did whatever you could to stop it. And so I know there was a debate locally, but there was no debate nationally. And many people didn't know there was an anti-war movement. Many people felt that the war was wrong and they were against it. They didn't know how to express it. And in August of '05, when the National Press Corps was there, actually covering someone who disagreed with George Bush, who outlined the lies and the reasons we should not have gone to the war, the reasons my son should still be alive, and hundreds of thousands of other people. It was the first time many people saw it. When we went on our caravan for humanity and accountability, I was on national news all over talking about impeachment. It was like a foreign subject to everybody. You know, not everybody who was listening, especially people who have been listening to Democracy Now!, reading The Progressive, listening to Air America, you had heard that word before. But it was the first time people on, you know, regular America who don't have the time to seek out the truth heard the word impeachment. And it was the first time many people who interviewed me had heard the word impeachment. So it's really good to talk about these things. Let's talk about how the two-party system is fundamentally corrupt. How the two-party, you know, really in many ways we only have one party in this country. And people say, Cindy, do you need a third party? My answer is all, well, a second party would be nice. You know, let's put first things first. And so George Martin stopped me over in the beer garden, and it's, you know, Wisconsin's great. Two of my favorite things are beer and cheese. So, you know, this is like my Mecca, my paradise here. And so George Martin said, Cindy, you have to understand that the Democrats here in Wisconsin are already on the left, and I understand that. I understand that, but that's not true nationally. And that's not true with the leadership in our party. The leadership in our party, the Democratic Party, I shouldn't say our party because I'm not a Democrat anymore, But the leadership in the Democratic Party are not on the left. They don't represent true progressive values. What they do is represent the status quo. And they try to maintain the status quo and protect the status quo. Well, the status quo does not foster peace. Nope. The status quo does not foster. It does not foster an acceptance of everybody's religion, everybody's culture, everybody's color, everybody's sexual persuasion. No, the status quo, I believe, is something that we should tear down, not protect. And I had a really interesting conversation with somebody from your NBC affiliate. It was an interview, and he said, well, what would you say to your critics? He goes, you know, not me, but maybe somebody would say that what you do by wanting the troops to come home is anti-American. And so he goes, what would you say to those people? And I said, I would say that I'm a mother whose son was killed in Iraq, and all I want to do is to save lives, and that's what I'm doing. He goes, but what would you say if they said, well, that's anti-American? I said, well, is peace an anti-American value? You know, is peace anti-American? If that's the definition, then I am anti-American. So what you're going to see tonight on NBC is Cindy Sheehan saying, yes, I am anti-American. He said, do you have anything else to say? I said, yes. If you feature that, you have to precede it with what I said about peace. You know, I know about sound bites. So, and we have to understand that peace is not just an absence of war. During the 90s, during the Clinton regime, more Iraqis were killed than George Bush has managed to kill. They were killed with the US-UN-led sanctions. They were killed with the weekly bombings that Clinton was doing to strategic targets that was killing Iraqis. They've been killed by the depleted uranium that contaminated that region after the first Gulf War. And there's a statistic that says about 1 million to 1.5 million Iraqis were killed during the US UN-led sanctions. But you talk to Iraqi people, they say, no, that's just the amount of children that were killed. And so here we were in America during the Clinton years thinking we were at peace. No, maybe children in America weren't getting killed, and maybe not very many American children were being killed during the Clinton regime, but children all over the world were being killed. And we thought we were a nation at peace. No, peace is not an absence of war. Peace is where the economy is there to serve the people, not the other way around. Peace is where we only have a military that's used for defense and not wars of aggression to line the pockets of the war machine. Peace is where anybody who wants to can have a good paying job with health benefits and belong to a union if they choose to. Peace is where anybody from kindergarten to college can get a good, quality, free education. Peace is where people in their communities can feel safe and taken care of. And that's never going to happen when the war machine runs our country. We will never have true peace. War in the Middle East, this destabilization of the entire Middle East to fit all kinds of, scandalous agendas. But here in America, we seriously, and I don't want to borrow any nomenclature from Lou Dobbs, but there is a war on the middle class. When we don't have health care, when we don't have good jobs, when we don't have good education, We can't sustain a middle class, and we can only have democracy if we have a middle class. What we have now is a fascist oligarchy or a plutocracy, where only a few people benefit from the resources and the work